Good afternoon and welcome to today's discussion on IR theory. Today we will be discussing neoclassical realism and a critique of realism. As you know, international relations is basically concerned with relations between states. War and peace are the central problem of traditional international relations, although in contemporary times, concerns like economic interdependence, human rights, transnational organizations, and other such issues are also important for international relations. There are four major schools of IR theory. One is realism, another is liberalism, third one is international society approach, and the fourth one is international political economy approach. There are other approaches, for example, social constructivism, feminism, and others. In our previous discussions, we have seen that after the end of the First World War, between the interwar period, liberalism was the dominant approach to understand and study international relations. Liberalism, which basically believed in goodness of human nature, in cooperative nature, human nature, and it was aimed at promoting peaceful cooperation among states. League of Nations was created on the basis of liberal internationalism. However, it was soon realized during 1920s and especially during 1930s that liberal internationalism was not working. With the rise of fascist regime in Italy and Nazi regime in Germany and a militarist Japan, the entire edifice of international peace and League of Nations failed. And therefore, there was a rethink about the most suitable approach to international relations in the post-Second World War period. And therefore, we saw the emergence of realist ideas and assumptions. Realism basically is based on a pessimistic view of human nature, that humans are selfish, are quarrelsome. They believe that IR, basically relations between states, are conflictual, that national security and state survival are the foremost objective of all states, that acquisition and possession of power is the goal of all states, that international politics is basically power politics, an arena of rivalry, conflict, and war between and among states. International system is basically anarchic. There are no higher authorities or international bodies which can regulate the behavior of states. States which are the primary actors in international relations. But states are not equal. There is a hierarchy of power. There are more powerful states, there are weaker states. And international relations is primarily struggle between great powers for security and also for domination. National interest is the final arbiter of foreign policy. Treaties, conventions, customs and rules, these are expedient arrangements which can be given up depending on the interest of the states. There can be no progressive change possible in international relations. Classical realism starts with Thucydides, who lived during the Greek city-states, that is before Christ. He talks about inevitable competition and conflict between Greek city-states on the one hand and non-Greek empires like the Persian Iranian Empire on the other hand. He also talks about the inequality among states, between states. All states are not equal, some are more powerful, some are less, and this inequality is natural. Just as among humans inequality is natural, among states also inequality is natural. Thucydides also distinguishes between private morality and principles of justice. According to him, justice is not equal treatment of all states because states are not equal. He recognizes the relative strength and weakness of states and believes that all states should act in accordance with their strength and weakness, and they should adapt to this unequal distribution of power. Power politics and security and survival are the core concerns of states. The most important thinker in modern times was Machiavelli. He believes in supreme political value of national freedom. He believes that rulers and foreign policy makers should have two basic qualities. One is power and strength, which is the quality of a lion. The other is deception and cunning, which is the quality of a fox. He believes that the only concern of the ruler is survival. The ruler should be astute, should be crafty, should be ruthless, so that he can notice threats and promote the basic interest of the state, which is survival. He supposes that state or leaders should be intelligent enough to anticipate the motive and action of other states. He also believes that moral maxims are politically irrelevant. He doesn't say that morality is not possible. He only believes that private morality is distinct from public morality, and the ruler should not be bound by private morality. The next important thinker is Thomas Hobbes, who has a very negative view of human nature, who believes that in state of nature, when there was no state, the people were in war of all against all, that there was no security of life or property, and in order to achieve security of life, property, the people created absolute authority, the Leviathan, and this absolute power, that is state, can protect their lives and their property. But within the state, security is possible. Outside the state, security is not possible because there is anarchy in the international state system. Sovereign state system is the only way that individuals can escape from state of nature, which was very brutal. He believes that domestically peace is possible, but in international arena it's anarchy and the state of war of all states against other states. The next and perhaps the most important modern thinker is Morgenthau. He believes that men and women by nature are political animals, that there is a natural craving for power, and there is also a search for secure territory which leads people to create state. That security beyond state is not possible. Within the state there is security, outside the state there is no security. Morgenthau also believes that private morality and public morality are entirely different, that politics is an autonomous sphere of action and it should not be guided by principles of private morality, that self-interest is the most important basic fact guiding human behavior, that international politics is an arena of conflicting state interests. While summarizing classical theory, one can say that it is normative as well as empirical analysis of IR, that power and responsibility are inseparable concepts. The responsibility of all rulers is to protect their states, and for that they need power. Classical realism also believes in balance of power, which is an empirical reality and a basic value. It is a legitimate goal to guide statecraft. It is desirable as it prevents hegemonic world domination by any one great power. it upholds international peace and security. Those four thinkers were classical realists. Coming to neorealism, Thomas Schelling, he believes in foreign policy as an instrument. His theory is called strategic realism. He believes that normative international relations is subjective and unscientific, that foreign policy is a rational and instrumental activity. His basic postulate is game theory, that diplomacy is concerned with bargaining. It seeks best possible outcome for both the parties to a conflict. There is no underlying political or civil ethic. Normative values are taken for granted. Even if they are there, they are taken for granted. So there is a basic difference between classical realism and strategic realism and neorealism. Bargaining is the core strategy according to Schelling, and he believes that coercion and brute force both are important, but coercion is concerned with an ability on the part of the state to know what an adversary values or treasures and what scares him. For coercion to be effective, our interest and the opponent's interest should not be absolutely opposed. There should be a meeting ground which bargaining is aimed at. Diplomacy of violence, he talks about. Victory is the art of coercion, intimidation and deterrence, according to which you can achieve your goals even without using brute force. Values are something which are given and should be treated instrumentally. The next important neorealist thinker is Kenneth Waltz. His approach is called structural approach. He believes in both bipolar and multipolar systems. He, like classical realists, he believes that states are the most important actors and they operate in a situation of international anarchy. But he makes no mention of human nature like the classical realists. He also ignores the ethics of statecraft. He believes that theory should be scientific and explanatory. It should be able to predict state behavior. He believes in determinism, that the international structures, whether the structure is bipolar or multipolar or unipolar, is the most important determinant of state behavior. He believes in rise and fall of great powers. He believes that bipolar system is more stable. He also believes that the rulers or the statesmen have no independent authority to take decisions. Their decisions are guided by the international structures and they have no independent authority. The next important neorealist thinker is Mearsheimer, who believes in stability theory. He says that neorealism is able to or can be used to explain not just bipolar system which existed from 1945 to 1990. It can also be used to explain the behavior of states after the end of the Cold War, after the end of the bipolar system. So, he believes that the earlier neorealism or Walt's neorealism was defensive, whereas his own theory is offensive, where great powers seek hegemony and if they are unable to achieve absolute hegemony, then the international system is dominated by regional hegemons, where in different regions of the world different powers became or dominate. Mearsheimer's theory has been criticized because it fails to explain peaceful change and peaceful cooperation between great powers, for example, between US and UK from 1945 onwards. He also fails to explain the emergence of regional arrangements like European Union, which involves pooling of sovereignty. He ignores the responsibility of statecraft. He doesn't believe that individual leaders or state policy makers can really make a difference. He adopts a mechanistic model which cannot explain many things. Now, from there we come to neoclassical realism. Neoclassical realism basically tries to combine some of the postulates of classical realism with neorealism. So, neoclassical realism believes that state leadership operates and foreign policy is carried on within broad parameters of anarchical international system. So, like the neo-realists, they believe that anarchical structure of international system determines the action of states, but at the same time they also believe that state leaders can make a difference, and here they are more in tandem with classical realism, which believed in the role of the leadership, which believes that the rulers have foremost responsibility to secure national survival and national interest. Classical realism and neo-realism, they agree on certain things, like both talk about constraints of circumstances, they both talk about presence of foreign powers, of great powers, and these great powers can be both threatening or they can be promising also. Classical realism believes, however, in the ethics of statecraft, where they emphasize that it is the moral responsibility of the rulers, of the statesmen, to ensure the security and survival of the country, whereas neorealism is more focused on structural determinism, where the rulers or policy makers do not have any autonomy of action. Neoclassical realists, they believe, as I said, in international structures which is anarchic, and there is a relative power imbalance, that some states are more powerful, some states are less powerful. However, they also believe that there are other agencies which are important. There are societal factors, there are political military institutions, there are interest groups which can basically determine the action of leaders or policy makers. So, neoclassical realists, one can summarize, basically try to combine classical realism with neorealism. Thank you very much.